the problems we were seeing maybe a decade ago are very different from now, what we see now. The amount of children I see with the screen in the first 2 years of life, we don't know what will happen to them because the brain is developing. We don't know after 10 years, 12 years, how the brain has taken to, how the neuronal connections are developing. I believe that this physical activity should start early. Now there is a lot of talk also about the first 1,000 days of life because that is the time when maximum brain development is occurring also. Parenting is never easy at any age. My life has taught me that don't expect too much. Sometimes we expect a lot from the children, so we drive towards that. Okay, you should do this.
Hi everyone, my name is Aditya and I am the founder of Fitbuds. We've created this channel, Fitbuds Parents, for parents to simplify the art of parenting. In the modern age with social media, there is no shortage of information or content. But I would rather say there is overflow of content which confuses all the parents. But our goal is to get the real experts who are practicing, who are certified, who know the real science behind parenting. Today we have Dr. Aparna, who is a pediatrician based out of Gurgaon. And let's know more about Dr. Aparna from Dr. Aparna. So, Dr. Aparna, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Aditya. I'm super excited to be here.
We're super excited.
And this is something which is really close to my heart.
So, Dr. Aparna, let's start with your journey about, let's know about your childhood.
Right. So, I'm a Delhi girl. My upbringing has been very normal, simple. We were very into the scene, like there were no screens, nothing as such which would hold us back. So we were playing most of the time. Of course, studying too, that was there. So my parents were very much into walking. And after our daily routine, we would go out for walks. And that was our, family time together. And my mom, she still teaches yoga at the age of 83. So I'm super proud of that.
That's amazing.
Right.
At the age of 83?
At the age of 83, she has this local network. Some other people also come there.
And she's based out of Delhi?
She's in Noida, yes.
She's in Noida.
Right.
That's amazing.
And I have, so after doing my MBBS from Harding and then doing my registrarship from Maulana Azad Medical College, I started my practice here in Gurgaon itself.
In which year?
I joined MBBS in 1989.
That's long time.
Yeah, long time back.
So
true. I've been practicing into office practice for 23 years now.
That's a very long
Yes,
time.
that's a very long time.
So the kids probably whom you had. Like,
Yes,
at the beginning,
absolutely. They are now getting their own kids. So
That's amazing.
yes, so that's how it is. And my daughter is a national level gymnast. She's gone to the national level thrice. She is a rhythmic gymnast, and now she's in college, so she stopped doing that. And my son and my husband, they are also pretty active. They play sports, go run. So that
we have a lot of secrets that Dr. Aparna is going to share. What works for her? Although it's like not one size fits all, but I'm sure you're going to share a lot of your secrets in this podcast.
Actually, there are no secrets, it's just, I think, being consistent is the key. That's what I tell my parents also.
Wow.
Because what I remember is that after my daughter was born, that is my second born, and one day my aunt had come and we were going for a walk, and I had put on a lot of weight that time, and she just whizzed past me. And that was the moment I realized that how unfit I had become. In all that, that studying, practicing, establishing myself in my clinical practice and bringing up 2 kids. And that realization, I felt miserable. I said, no, this is not going to go on. I have to change something. And I think once the mother or the father changes, the kids change too, because they look up to you. Whatever you are, whatever you become, kids are like mirrors. So if the parents have to take the lead.
If I may ask you,
Sure.
the incident that you're talking about, how many days after the after your daughter
So
was born?
2 months after. So it wasn't a long time,
Yeah.
but the aunt I'm talking about was 65.
But parents, the moms are, unless there is a complication, the
Right.
mothers are expected to not put
Rest.
on a lot of weight, take
True.
care of their body
True.
after delivery.
Yeah.
And
But still, it sometimes happens because it's easy to say something, but sometimes, as with all people, sometimes things don't go the way you think they will go. And then that is the time I think that you really have to act and, turn things around.
should I say there was a turning point in your life?
Absolutely. So I joined gym after that, and I have been doing everything possible in the sense I did step aerobics, I did floor aerobics, I did strength training. I'm an orange belt in kickboxing.
Wow.
But when then COVID came, and then you can't go to the gym. That's when I discovered running. And I was a horrible runner initially because I thought even doing 1 kilometer was a task. Like non-stop one. When I started, it's a task because it's not in your muscle memory.
Yes.
And then slowly I had to build it up. And it was on my bucket list that I would once in my lifetime I would do a half marathon. So this year I achieved that.
Wow,
So-
that's quite different.
That's okay.
So, but a half marathon, by the way, for those people who don't know, is a 13-mile or a 21.1 kilometer run, and you start and you finish in one go.
Yes.
There are some people who are beginners who do take breaks in between, but you need to finish it in the same run
Yeah.
at 21 kilometers.
So I ran non-stop.
Culture.
Hey, thank you so much.
That's great. And so, if I say you started MBBS in 1988,
89, right.
and what would have been an ideal age for you to start running?
Is there any ideal age? I think there is no age.
It's like a half marathon.
There was no opportunity initially. I was so busy doing everything else, so I had to start slow. And actually, if you look at it, there is this book, I don't know whether you've read it, it's called Born to Run.
Yeah.
So we are actually born to run. If we would not have run fast enough, a lion would eat you.
Yes.
So I think that's only good thing about it is you don't need any equipment. And yes, so that is a major thing. If you have nothing else, you have your feet, you can go run. Same for children too, because sometimes there is lack of opportunity, they don't know where to take them, but even a 10-minute or 15 minutes is also good enough. Yeah.
I would agree. So kids these days, although everyone likes to play, and I do train kids.
Right.
I feel that the kids, they enjoy play as much as we used to.
Absolutely.
But I think they have a lot. We can't blame them for a lot of distractions that they have.
Absolutely.
In the modern
Yes.
age.
True.
So, what is your experience with the modern age kids, mostly school-going kids, about their physical activity?
See, I believe that this physical activity should start early. Now there is a lot of talk also about the first 1,000 days of life, because that is the time when maximum brain development is occurring also. So if during that time you tap that and you start that the child should get some outdoor exposure, just take the child out. It should not be that there is dengue season, we can't take the child out, or there is nothing really great around. Anything will do.
Too much sun exposure.
That is also a myth. So take the child out for half an hour, 1 hour. Just let the child play. Unstructured activity. You don't really have to direct all the time. Just let the child be out. And then slowly, as they become older and they discover their own bodies, they find the joy of physical activity. Because there are so many benefits of physical activity at all ages. It is unmatched. In fact, for brain development also. the physical activity, it increases your neurons, it increases the neuronal connections. So there is better cognitive development, better focus, better attention. So sometimes the parents say that, ma'am, exam time is there, the child cannot play, you know, he has to go for tuitions or she has to appear for this exam. So the science says that if the child does a 30-minute physical activity during that time also, so the efficiency of the brain increases. He or she is just in front of the book, you know, just cramming. So what he or she can do in 1 hour, that can be achieved in half an hour.
I can say that from my own experience. I used to be very active in my school days.
Right.
I used to play cricket, but otherwise I used to play everything. I used to keep playing a lot of free play.
So that is very important too, that unstructured play right from beginning, you know, that has a lot of role, because the child, they improve, they develop their own games, their imagination goes up. So
Plus, I also have been reading a lot, and we've been doing a lot of workshops in schools about 21st century skills through games and sports. So in sports, there are different skills that you build, for example, discipline. But then in unstructured play, you build a lot of other skills like life skills, like leadership, that comes from within.
absolutely,
Team building.
being a team player.
Yes. And then obviously
And being
creating your own rules.
Absolutely.
And changing them, how to make them suit you and win.
And being a good loser, you know, it's like you being that sportsman spirit. Yeah.
Although these days I find many people talking about discouraging the competition thing amongst kids, because not everyone likes to be competitive.
It depends. I think some amount of competition is healthy.
Yeah.
It's how you prime the child, what is the mindset. The parents themselves get so competitive. If it doesn't come from up, the child is usually fine. And in fact, it is important, because once you are not winning, nobody can win all the time.
Yeah.
But that gives you a lot of strength to take that defeat. That is also a part of life. So I think a little bit competition is good enough.
I see.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about your practice.
Right.
What are the most common problems that people bring to you about their children's health, basically?
So Aditya, I don't think I can really categorize it as one problem, but yes, I would say that the type of patients or the problems we were seeing maybe a decade ago are very different from now, what we see now.
And I think you're the best person to answer it, because this is your third decade of practice.
Yes, it's been now 23 years. In office practice, 6 years before that I was doing pediatrics anyways.
Wow.
So it's been almost 30 years. So initially there was a lot of infection, you know, jaundice and cholera and tuberculosis, hepatitis, pneumonias. But with good vaccines and good hygiene, that number is going down. What we are mostly seeing now is lot of mental health issues, low self-esteem, weight issues, anxiety issues even in small children, you know, which is actually a red flag for the society also. The amount of children I see with the screen in the first 2 years of life, we don't know what will happen to them, because the brain is developing. We don't know after 10 years, 12 years, how the brain has taken to, how the neuronal connections are developing. Because that is for sure, science says that they have less attention span, they are little hyperactive, they can be, if exposed very early on and for a prolonged period of time. Poor concentration skills, poor speech development. So now there are actual WHO recommendations for screen time that for the first 2 years of life, no screen should be encouraged. Be it a laptop, a mobile phone, television, it should be just reserved for very short video call with close relatives. Apart from that, everybody is showing screen, be it a rickshawala, be it an elite corporate professional.
To feed the child.
And to feed the child. That is the worst.
Because I don't know how it spread out across the world that children like to finish their meat only if they're given screen time.
Because that is how they are being, that is how they are being primed. They are just not focusing on food, and it becomes an eating disorder later on. They don't know when they are full, because the mothers keep feeding them in front of the televisions, and also, or the mobile, which is even worse. They keep on scrolling, which is because rapid images, rapid sounds. So they are not, the attention span is going very low, like that of a goldfish. Our attention span has, and think about the kids. When we can't really be that attentive, then what will happen to the small babies?
Of course.
So that is something which should be really, really discussed. And after that also, after 2 years also, half an hour to 1 hour of screen time in a day is what is recommended. Lesser the better. So that is one thing. And so all my dear patients and all the people who are listening to this, if you can do just this thing, that keep the child away from screens, it would be really beneficial for everyone.
So like you mentioned that screen time 30 minutes or so is okay for kids who are more than 2 years old. If I may ask you, what would you recommend in those 30 minutes of screen?
It's not a hard and fast, but you can make it more on the weekends. So they have to watch together. The parents and the child, they have to watch whatever show the mother or the father has, or whoever the caregiver is, they should watch it together. And the control should be in their hands, not in the child's hands. Right? They can watch an animated movie for sure, something which is pleasurable, something which is educational, why not? But it should not be continuous, it should not go on, and it should not hamper the child's activities or sleep or feeding, so that there should be a limited time for it.
So let's take these 3 things one by one: activities, sleep, and food or nutrition.
Right.
So can you please share, like we talk about physical activity for kids,
Right.
kids, but how much physical activities should a child
So there are beautiful WHO recommendations for this. The rule of thumb is that all children need around 3 hours of physical activity, by and large, right from beginning. Now that is not vigorous, like even walking, doing your normal household activities, right from when it's a baby, turning around, reaching for objects, even that is physical activity. As they grow old, jumping, hopping, cycling, swimming, but as the child, initially it has to be free play for a few years. 2 to 3 years, let the child be on their own. You just encourage physical activity. One thing I want to tell here is, sometimes some kids are just not interested in playing. So then what do the parents do? It's a very common question, that the child is not a physically very active person. He's very good otherwise, but not interested to play. So the parent has to take that initiative to go down at the level of the child, look into the eyes, start playing herself. Don't give too many instructions to the child. Do this, do that, these are the rules. Then the child is put off. So just go with the flow, and as they become bigger, they start enjoying the play. It should be fun. So that having fun component is very, very important. Physical activity, otherwise, out of those 3 hours, 1 hour should be moderate physical activity. Like the child should have, the heart rate should go up, in the sense that they should be sweating, and it should be ideally outdoors. Like many patients tell me that my child is very active, ma'am, either they are just playing all the time, the cousin also comes, they are going up and down the stairs, they are playing in this room or that room. But that is, the children are born, or they have to run, to play, to go with the wind. Then it has to be outdoors. That much amount of physical, you cannot do in a room.
I love it when you say that there's a difference between indoor physical activity.
Absolutely.
Although something is better than nothing.
Yes, that is there. See, if like in COVID times, what were all of us were doing? But children have fun when they play outside.
Yeah,
they have that in the natural environment. They have a very positive association.
More space to move. move.
Absolutely. And they see other children.
Yes.
So, and then they start becoming, they play together. So that's a very
And also
positive thing.
discovering different things, different
What-
trees, birds.
True, with the nature,
Grass.
sunlight. Sunlight is so important. It's not only for vitamin D, otherwise for immunity, for making you sleep better. So sunlight also has lots of advantages.
I'll just deviate a little.
No problem.
Love
Yeah.
deviating but
Yeah.
stargazing used to be one thing that we used to do in our childhood.
Right.
Unfortunately, in the metro cities, we can't
see the stars much.
Kids
Yeah.
get that joy.
Yeah.
But yeah, once in a while they can go for a
Yeah.
vacation and then do stargazing.
True.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of endorphin release. Serotonin is released when you go in the sunlight. So you get that feel-good factor.
But should it be in the early morning or sunrise?
I think we can't be really that particular. Any light is good. Morning light is excellent because it sort of goes to our receptors in the forebrain and sort of wakens us up. And the diurnal rhythm is according to light actually. So all our hormones, our other neurotransmitters, they work at their most efficient if you go to the sunlight early in the morning. But I understand it's not possible every time. As much as you can, absolutely, yes. Yes, but weekends, if you can plan any small, a little trip with the child.
Instead of the late
night movie,
if a movie early.
You can just take the child out for a small picnic in the morning, or take a walk if nothing else, or make a pleasant surprise and just go out and play a little bit. They enjoy that.
My experience with the modern day kids is no one likes waking up on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
So see, this is where I was saying that if we want the children to be healthy, it has to come from the parents. If the parent is always on the laptop or on the WhatsApp, in my waiting room, the mother is on the WhatsApp many times. She's not even interacting with the child. It's not that you have to do what you have to do, but sometimes you just have to put the phone, you have to just log out.
So from my own experience also, I have been struggling myself to, it's an addiction. If I spend X number of hours on my phone, I'm sure 30% of it is not even needed.
True, very true.
And I'm sure that it's for most of the people. For
Absolutely.
me, I honestly believe 30%. For many people, it will be more.
It might be more. And for a child who cannot really segregate, they cannot handle, they are just getting a dopamine hit by looking at things again and again and again. So why would the child make actual connections?
Yeah.
Actual social connections. There are kids who don't want to go to the playground. They run back because their phone is waiting there, and they really want that, that kick. So if you give that physical activity or that sunlight or that fun initially during their growing years, then they don't usually go to that other addiction sort of a thing.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's even more nice to know from a medical practitioner how it affects your body, how the nature affects your body, because we somehow are moving away from nature with all the modern facilities.
Gadgets,
now
and
instead of walking, we use the car.
Life is taking a full circle now. We are going back now. We are relishing in the fact that yes, what our ancestors used to do was really good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Age-old wisdom is coming back.
Correct. So we were supposed to talk about 3 factors. Physical activity is what we've discussed. Let's talk about sleep.
Sleep, okay. So sleep is so very important. Even for us, if we don't sleep well, the next day is ruined sort of. And especially for children, because their brain is developing, everything is getting stored, memories are getting consolidated, and reset button is there. So if a child if there is no discipline, there has to be a sleep time. You can waver a little bit on the weekends, but that also not more than 1 hour. So WHO recommends at least 9 to 11 hours of sleep for 6 to 12 years old. It can vary a bit, But yes, that much sleep is needed, and sleep hygiene, as it is called. All the screen should be off 1 hour before they sleep, because blue light stimulates the brain. They don't get a good sleep. Sometimes they grind their teeth because of so much mental stimulation, which is not needed.
Okay.
Number 2, it should be a comfortable environment, and there should be minimum distraction, and of course, very important, no sugary drinks or sugars before the bedtime, because that just, you have to calm the child down. Reading is excellent. So if you read a book, so that is very good, or something which you believe in, a prayer, whatever works for you. It all varies from parent to parent.
So it's not just sweet before sleep, but also early dinner.
Early dinner, very important. Absolutely, yeah.
This main thing. And also, when you say 9 to 11 hours, does it have to be in a single stretch, or it can be in 2 parts?
It can be in 2 parts, but an hour is okay. An hour or 2 is also, that is counted. The total sleep requirement, yes.
But one long,
uninterrupted, restful sleep is definitely goes a long way.
And it's not just for the children, it's also for us.
True, very true.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if let's talk about nutrition. And I think it's
That's a vast topic, yes.
But if we can talk about some observations that you can share.
Okay. So
some myths, rather.
Oh, I will say misconceptions maybe. One is, many parents think that a fat baby or a little chubby baby is healthy. Initial years.
If
Motu,
someone
Golu.
who met me who is overweight or fat is a demeaning word.
Right.
I would say that person was healthy.
Yeah.
Rather,
yeah.
I would say the person was unhealthy.
So more than weight, I think the stress would be on fitness. Even a child with a little bit more weight might be very fit than a thin child, but on the other hand, you should not keep overfeeding. That thing to just, that my child is thinner and that child is, uska weight acha hai, that should not be the prime factor. So during the growing years, I think stop overfeeding. That is very important. If the child is happy with whatever, respect his or her wishes. That is prime most. And second thing is that when you ask them what all the child, there is no junk food, usually the parents say, but if you dig deep, then it all comes down to, yes, cookies and chips and pizzas and burgers. So it's not that they are totally out of reach. Yes, we do give them, but it should be in some, there has to be a limit to it. Right? And our age-old Indian food is excellent if you give it in the right way. Like, there has to be adequate balanced nutrition, enough protein, enough veggies, enough fruits. So that is really, really needed.
Correct. If we talk about the traditional Indian food, it is usually said that it lacks in protein if we compare to what also because Indians, we are mostly vegetarian.
True.
Also, if we are non-vegetarians, the non-veg happens like once a week. In most of the families, it's very rare. If we compare to Americans or Europeans. So how can we take care of
optimize
protein element?
We have enough protein in our diets. Only thing is, sometimes it is not given. We have dals, we have curd, we have, dairy is definitely there, and soya and quinoa. So all of these things, they have a lot of protein. Nuts, legumes, chana.
Yes, I think if we replace our regular grains with millets to whatsoever extent.
Absolutely.
Millets are definitely.
So every meal which you are giving to the child, 25% at least should be protein. The rule of thumb is that. Right? And some carbs are also needed. It's not that you don't carb, all carbs are not bad. You can give carbs. Of course, some energy is needed for that.
Right.
But you can vary according to your personal, whatever you people are eating, whatever your family diet is.
But even in wheat, even in oats, there is quite okayish protein content.
Absolutely.
We can't say that it is great. So very less protein.
Right, yeah.
But the thing is that maybe packaged food, if you can talk about.
As fresh as possible. I really recommend that. Try to keep packaged food to a minimum. Keep it as fresh and wholesome as possible. That is always best.
Can I touch upon something different?
Okay.
You are a mother. You've raised 2 kids.
True.
And as a pediatrician, things are easier said than done.
True.
For any person, any profession.
Yes.
Like for me, I can ask a parent that your child should be doing this, that as a fitness coach. He should work on his push-ups. Every day he should practice it. It's not really possible. So if I may ask your journey of parenting, how ideal could you make it?
It is never, parenting is never easy at any age. And same challenges I faced. In fact, more so because you think of the worst. But yes, you do push little by little by little, and that's what my life has taught me, that don't expect too much. Sometimes we expect a lot from the children, so we drive towards that. Okay, you should do this, since both of us are doctors and we feel that the child will be academically very good, but it doesn't happen like that. You have to see the strengths and the weaknesses, and you have to mold your own approach. Some approach might work for some child, it might just work the opposite for the other. So you have to, it's self-discovery for parent too, of course. Be it a doctor, be it a non-doctor. So that has been there with me also. But in the end, I think once they become adults, it becomes fine.
So it's a journey of every individual to individual. It has to be different.
True. Very true.
Just by the virtue of being a doctor.
It doesn't change anything.
Right.
It doesn't change anything. It's not that.
Kids are not doctors. They are kids.
And our teaching and our Nelson textbook doesn't tell us how to bring up children. It's absolutely different. It's more about diseases and all that stuff. They don't tell you how to parent. There are certain things, but it's not really, pediatrics is not, it's majorly about ailments and all that. So parenting is a different ball game altogether. It's never easy, but yes, it's very rewarding in the end. And I feel if it should start from the top up, if the parent can do little changes in their lives, take the flight of stairs instead of the elevator when the child is with you. So they learn from, they are very good observers, children. So you have to change your own ways, you know. You have to eat healthy first. You cannot be snacking on a pizza and tell the child, finish your millets. That doesn't happen, you know. Or you have to just not be on the screen all the time. When the child comes to you, it should not be you're doing your work and the child is saying, mama, mama, papa, and then you're not even looking. So you just pause, you look at the person, you look at the child, say, yes, baby, what's bothering you, what's happening. So that goes a long way, you know.
And also, like I said, my 30%, it's different for everyone.
True.
Whatever time we can spend.
Yes, whatever time, it's different for everyone. We know there are modern age constraints are there, but whatever best you can do in the situation.
Yeah. Plus, I think gone are the days when all the families were like joint families. So again,
more and more of nuclear families. So social interaction, that's why it's even more important now. Because first the joint families where their children were learning from each other. They did not have gone outside, cousins, they were playing together, going out together. True, 4, 5, 6. Now what is happening? Because that's why making that social, the brain develops best when social connections are there, when a lot of love is there. So initial 2 to 3 years, it is very important that you expose the child to that social connection, you know. And that really happens if they go out, I feel, play with other kids or just be around.
So if I want to kind of summarize our discussion so far, we spoke about in the parent leading, taking leadership of physical activities.
True.
Because the kids are mirrors, like you said. Then we spoke about nutrition, that overfeeding is usually a problem.
Usually a problem.
Not every parent overfeeds. Some of the children are also very picky eaters. They
True.
might need a bit of push.
Huh.
But in general, most parents are like,
Yeah.
how about having a BMI as a metric for child's weight?
See, BMI, of course, if the weight is off the charts, it's morbid obesity, it definitely helps so that you can, follow up. But it is not a very fantastic tool for judging fitness or their, other stuff or fitness level in a child. Because there might be somebody whose weight is little more, but very active children who are doing very well, very fit. So that is fine.
But it is definitely indicative.
It is indicative.
Things going
It is
wrong.
like a tool, yes. So if instead of one single reading of a BMI, if over a period of time you can keep a tab on it, that works little better, and compare with the percentiles. A thin child might be very unfit compared to a slightly overweight child, and that's okay. I mean, us
fitness
being
would be
slightly.
how nicely the child is able to
Yes,
carry the day-to-day
day-to-day activities, how is the stamina, how is the energy level, how is the mood, how is the concentration, is the child sleeping well, how is the self-esteem,
So not
everything.
physical,
But
also
all the
mental
spheres,
health.
absolutely, mental, social, psychological health.
And it
So-
is very deeply connected to physical activity, nutrition,
See,
sleep.
physical activity is unmatched. So my take-home message would be that you cannot replace it with anything else. It will give you child the impetus, the trajectory of life changes, I feel. In children who are physically active, children, adults, anytime, whatever time you take a physical activity, it changes you as a person. You become more focused, more attentive, stamina goes up, you start feeling good. It's a mood stabilizer. So,
And the
definitely.
parent has to take a lead, but
Yes. So, or if the child is taking the lead, then be supportive, yes, okay, I'll take you, where do you want to go,
Also, one very important thing we spoke about, that maybe sleep a little early
Yes.
on weekends.
Yes.
And use the morning time.
True.
Because that sunlight. is the
that
best.
sunlight, yes, true,
So I think quite a lot of takeaways for our audience.
yes.
And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking about
really
all these things which really I see that change as occurring in the pediatric population, and really hope that children should not suffer because of whatever.
Yeah. One last thing I noticed about this entire conversation, everything was so simple. Even if I am talking
It's
to a
very-
medical practitioner,
Huh.
it's all about basics.
It's all about basics. It's
And
not
if it has to be
rocket science.
complicated, doctors have to handle it.
It's not rocket science. So I don't want that one should wait for complications to happen, like metabolic syndrome, like we say that, blood pressure or diabetes. We are seeing it in small children now. That day I had a 90 kg old 13-year-old girl. 19 kg was the weight, and the child was just 13 years. And she was totally rebellious that I will not do anything. It's not only about how the child is looking, it's also about the internal changes which are happening, the blood pressure, diabetes, everything else. So yes, it's called prevention is definitely better than cure. So if they start early and all these good habits are inculcated, everything would be good.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Aparna.
Thank you so
What
much.
a pleasure
Yeah.
talking to you.
Same here, Aditya. All the best.